mentioned competing funds, and the legislature is also hearing from a lot of counties, as I'm sure you are, about criminal justice reform and jail reform. Where are we going to go with our prisons? What are we going to do with our incarcerated population numbers and how that's growing, and also the cost to counties, particularly Madison County and Knox County and others are having issues right now in that arena. What can you offer from the AG's perspective as a go forward or a hope to these counties in the future?
Well, I think the AG's office needs to be a meaningful participant and contributor to the conversation around criminal justice reform. I don't have all of the answers, and there are other stakeholders that will be involved in this process looking for, the criminal justice reform conversation is really in sort of two categories. It's front-end reforms, which normally deals with the sentencing component of our criminal system.
Talking about things like bail and not sending people to jail upon the first arrest.
Right, some of that, and then you have back-end reforms, which are work training programs and looking at our probation and parole programs as well. So I think that the AG's office, obviously with an eye towards the enforcement side, can be a constructive part of that conversation, and look forward to it. In my time before I was in this role, I worked on some of those issues and have some ideas as it relates to the bail reform. I know that's something that's being kicked around. I'm happy to be a sounding board, or being a part of that conversation is something that I would greatly appreciate.
You've mentioned your enforcement role several times. And as a journalist, I've seen and heard many times of city and county, state agencies and governments not following and enforcing open meetings, open records, and public notice rules and laws. As AG, how committed are you to making sure that Kentucky's government is transparent?
Well, that was something I talked about on the campaign trail. It's my judgment that we need to be as transparent and open as possible. I hope that you recognize, by the fact that you're sitting here in this room, and I'll be having conversations with others as well, how critically important I think it is that the Attorney General of the Commonwealth have a strong relationship with the press. I think it's important because you all are in the business of holding your elected leaders accountable. And I also think it's important because we need to be able to disseminate information, and not just to Fayette County and Jefferson County. We need to get to what I think is the pulse of the Commonwealth, which is outside of Fayette and Jefferson County. So if we want to touch the pulse of Kentucky, then we need to have a good relationship with you and others. And so we're going to do everything we possibly can to be transparent in the way that we operate this office, and also do our best to aid and help others be transparent in the Commonwealth.
Well, we do appreciate your time today, and we'll have one last question before we let you go.
Of course.
Right now, 3 universities in our state are actually suing their own student newspapers over open records issues, and in each case, your predecessor issued an AG opinion that the student newspapers were entitled to the records that they requested, which caused, I guess in our system now, the university to have to sue to keep that information private. Why do you think the universities are fighting so hard to keep from providing this information to the public, and what do you see your role being going forward?
Well, I don't know all the specifics of those particular lawsuits, but again, I will point back to my original comment about I think it's healthy for there to be transparency in our public institutions, and whether that be state government or at our universities. And so, without getting into the specifics of those particular cases, I think as an initial matter, it is good to have transparency, and we'll certainly do whatever we can in this office to make sure that across the Commonwealth we're acting in a way that allows you all to hold us accountable and allows for a free flow of information.
Well, thank you, and we appreciate working with you.
Thank you,
Look forward to it.
Yes, sir.